Freedom of Information Act. FOIA. BZWATCHDOG News Network.
All right, watchdogs, buckle up because today's episode is a masterclass in government nonsense, sprinkled with just enough comedy to keep my blood pressure mostly under felony levels. So here's how this clown show started. On December 29th, Joyce, yes, real human Joyce, walks into the Lufkin Police Department the old-fashioned way. No bots, no portals, no QR codes, just a pen, paper, and the radical idea that you used to be able to fill out a public records request in public. She wanted an arrest report. Simple, legal, protected by law. But nope, she's told by the records supervisor, Michelle, that the only way to request records in Lufkin is through their online portal. That's it, end of story, no paper, no written request, no alternative. Now, here's the problem. Joyce isn't very tech savvy, and guess what? The law doesn't require her to be. She wanted to do it the old school way, write it down, hand it in, and go about her day like a free citizen in America. Instead, she got the computer, says no treatment. She did the smart thing. She reached out to me. Fast forward to December 30th, I call up City Hall and speak with Jonna, the city secretary. Now, Jonna tries to pressure me into using the portal. Real subtle, like a used car salesman. But to her credit, she doesn't outright deny access. But then I learned something interesting. It wasn't City Hall that blocked Joyce. It was police records. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. So I called back. I talked to another lady, never caught her name, who had absolutely no clue what the law was, what the process was, or why she was even answering the phone. I asked for a supervisor, and then the main star of today's short clip makes her entrance. Enter stage left, Michelle. And Michelle does exactly what Joyce said she did. Same script, same portal push, same refusal to accept a written request. Copy, paste, violate. At that point, I did what I do best. I lit up the entire city inbox with my email. Everyone got an email. City officials, supervisors, and yes, the city attorney. And suddenly, abracadabra, magic. I get a response saying, this is now a training opportunity. Funny how the law only becomes a training opportunity after someone gets caught on video, right? So before we roll the receipts, before we play the clip, before Michelle becomes internet famous for all the wrong reasons, smash that like button, drop a comment, share this everywhere, subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Facebook, because sunlight is the best disinfectant, and Lufkin, you've got some serious cleaning to do.
See, I'm not good with computers and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I don't know, I heard that you can just go in somewhere and fill out a request.
Not for the City of Lufkin.
Not for the City of Lufkin?
Correct.
And why is that? Where you can...
Because we have an open records request that you do online on the cityoflufkin.com on that website. That's how you receive those records.
Okay. Well, I was almost sure that you could do it, like just fill out some paperwork and just...
Mm-hmm. And you fill out the paperwork on the cityoflufkin.com on open records request. Yes, ma'am.
And it has to be done that way.
Yes, ma'am.
No way that you can do it otherwise. Just in person.
Not for the City of Lufkin.
Not for the City of Lufkin.
Correct.
For open requests.
Open records request.
Open
online. Mm-hmm.
Is only done online.
On the cityoflufkin.com. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there's no paperwork available to anyone, or...
On open records request there is. On
But
that
otherwise
website,
you
there
can't
is.
go in person and fill out paperwork.
No, you can just go online.
But that's the only way you can do it.
For the City of Lufkin, yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is your name?
Michelle.
Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you
You're welcome.
for your information.
Yes, ma'am.
Well.
Police records.
Yeah, is this the police department records?
Yes, sir, the records division.
Okay, and who am I speaking with, ma'am?
This is Holly.
Holly, I have a couple of questions. If I was to come in to do a records request, say via for like an arrest record, I can do that in person, correct?
So are you needing copies of arrest reports, or are you needing a arrest record check?
I just need like a copy of a report. I just need to submit a records request.
Okay. Would it just be for one, or do you need multiple?
Just for one. Is it something I can do in person, or is that something I have to mail you to, or something I can email, or something I have to do on a portal?
Yeah, you can come in person and do that if you're just needing one. And is it over your arrest?
No, it's over someone else's.
Okay, so that person would need to be the one to come and get it with their ID.
Why is that?
Because only that person can get their arrest report. And they would need the ID to show it that it's that person. Now, you can try over the online portal for open records and see if you can get it that way.
Now, why wouldn't I be able to get a records request, or why wouldn't I be able to get an arrest record through you guys?
Because if you're not the person who got arrested, then you couldn't get that arrest report if it's not over yourself.
Why?
You can't prove that you're that person, and that person would be the only one able to get it with their proof of their ID.
Have you gone through records training?
Yes, sir.
Well, then you fail miserably, ma'am, because that arrest record is public records. Only private information has to be redacted, but it can still be released to the public. Who's your supervisor?
My supervisor is here. Her name's Michelle. Would you like to speak to her?
Oh, absolutely. That's who I was actually calling for anyways.
Yes, sir. I'll put you on hold, and she'll get with you in just a moment, okay?
Sure.
This is Michelle. How may I help you?
Hey, Michelle. How are you doing today?
I'm fine.
Well, ma'am,
what about yourself?
I'd be doing good if I got the right answers. The young lady I spoke to, I'm trying to remember her name off the top of my head, the one that went and got you.
Okay.
She was telling me that I have to give ID for a records request, and that you guys couldn't give it to me with a crash report. Now, that's not accurate, ma'am. If I don't present ID, that just means you have to redact proper information because you don't know who you're giving out to. So I'm trying to figure out who trained the young lady, because that's improper. My other question is, what ways can I do a records request? Can I come in person and
Are you wanting a crash report, or you're wanting a police report?
Well, I actually need a few things, and it's not really a crash report. I think our lingo was police report. I think was what the actual verbiage she used, and I think the verbiage I used was a police report. So
okay, so she is very well trained, by the way, and she is very versed in what we do here in records.
Okay.
So you can go on open records request on our cityoflufkin.com and do an open records request for anything that doesn't involve you. Is this for you? Are you the one that is getting this record? Is it on you?
No, it's not. But I want to come in person.
Okay, so you can't do that. You have to do an open records request, and you can get it that way. We don't have anywhere that you come in to get that if it's for someone that is not yourself.
No,
we cannot release that to you.
Okay, so you're saying I can't come in and submit a records request?
No, you have to go online. That's how we do it, the City of Lufkin. That's what the City of Lufkin requires you to do, is go on to our cityoflufkin.com.
Michelle, let me let me let you know who I am. I'm an investigative journalist. I do records. I've done over thousands of records requests in Texas, and I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
You just admitted on the video yesterday where you were filmed, and you just admitted on the recording call that I have recorded right now, that you just violated the 4 ways that are required by law that you have to take a records request. You cannot refuse somebody from coming in. Whether it be on a form, if you don't have a form, it can be on a piece of paper. If you think that that's okay for everybody to have to go to the city portal, you are not properly trained, and therefore you should not be supervising anybody in the records department. So my next question is, who is your supervisor? Because my story is now on you. My story is now on you. I had your name before I called because I have you on video, ma'am. You say your name.
Sure.
And in fact, you probably know the young lady that recorded you yesterday when you did this.
Okay.
So I need to talk to your supervisor. And my question is, are you going to give me someone in the PD that oversees you, or do I have to call the city manager?
Well, sir, my supervisor is Chief David Thomas.
And who's his supervisor? The city manager. So therefore, I can either talk to the chief.
The city manager is Kevin Gee.
Okay, I can either talk to the chief if he wants to take my call, or I can go ahead and call the city manager, who I know will take my call. So
that is up to you, sir. Whoever you would like to talk to.
I'm going to leave it up to you.
My supervisor is Chief David Thomas.
Okay, would you like to put me on hold and go ask Chief David Thomas if he'd like to take my call?
You can call the Lufkin Police Department and speak to Chief David Thomas.
Oh, no worries. My next call is going to be to the city manager. But okay. Make sure you look for the story, because I'm going to make sure I highlight you very well. And I'm going to file a OAG complaint. So expect that, Michelle. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Have a nice day.
Uh-huh. All right, Watchdogs. I'm going to be real with you for a second. After that last call, my blood pressure was doing laps around the building. So instead of saying something that would get me subpoenaed, I did what adults do. I cooled my jets, took a breath, and then I lit up the entire city's email system like a Christmas tree. City officials, supervisors, records, admins, everybody. And wouldn't you know it, suddenly the laws they didn't know yesterday started sounding very familiar today, because I got a response from the city attorney, Kristi. Now, Kristi actually picked up the phone. And yes, we had a conversation, a real one, not the portal-only fairy tale we've been hearing. And you're about to hear some of my favorite government buzzwords make an appearance, including training opportunity, isolated incident. We'll make sure this doesn't happen again. You know, the greatest hits album of damage control. Now, don't get it twisted. I absolutely recommend anyone auditing Lufkin in the near future to keep their cameras charged and their notebooks ready. Because when citizens get denied access until someone sends a citywide email blast, that tells you everything you need to know. But for now, let's stop speculating. Let's stop talking. Let's listen to the call between me and the city attorney. And before we roll it, smash that like button, hit subscribe, share this everywhere. Sunlight needs to shine, because transparency doesn't happen by accident. It happens when watchdogs don't back down.
Hello?
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Vangari?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. It's Kristi Skillern. What can I do for you, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you emailing me back. I really do, because I really didn't expect the city attorney to reach back out. I figured it would be city manager or somebody trying to do damage control.
Right.
So I appreciate it. I want it to be compliant. Now, I just want to let you know what I wrote in that email is pretty much 100% accurate. Okay. So I got off the phone with her, and not knowing that you guys had two separate departments that you guys were doing. I figured Lufkin was a smaller town, so it was probably just, everything ran through the city secretary's office, like I've seen in some other towns. So, because I got a lady that was there yesterday at around noon, she sent me a video, because she recorded it, of Michelle, who's supposed to be the supervisor of police records, telling her that the city of Lufkin does not accept a records request in person, by mail, by email, and the only way you got to do it is on the city website and through the portal. Now, like I said, I have a video of her recording that. I called today, obviously, because I got my calls recorded with Jonna, Michelle, and the other girl. I don't remember the other girl's name that answered. The other girl wasn't flat out telling me no, but she was telling me I needed to provide ID if I wanted a police report. That's only if I want my own police report, so it's not redacted. Because if I request anybody else's stuff, it needs to be redacted. It's something that you would probably look at and, redact, tell them to redact and release, or we'll send it up to the AG's office,
Right. And honestly, that's all we want to do is comply. I've been a lawyer over 30 years, so it was unfortunate that she did not get the correct information, which it sounds like she didn't get the full story. She should have been able to write anything down, and we would have definitely gotten it addressed. And if she wants to come back and sit down with me, I'd be happy to get it entered and get it started for her.
And here's the crazy thing, Kristi. I talked to Michelle as well with the recorded line, and I got the exact same input. And I went a step further, asking certain questions, kind of baiting her a little bit to see if she was going to maybe get all the information and maybe tell me that, yeah, you can do it by this, you can do it by this, you can do it by this, I still got the same condescending attitude that I saw in the video from yesterday. Now, that is a problem. But when you flat out are very arrogant and you tell me that's the way we do things in Lufkin, and those were her words, by the way, that's how we do it in Lufkin. I'm sorry, the last time I checked, you're in Texas. The law in Texas overrides your policy or your city ordinance.
Correct. Yes, it does.
And I
am sorry. For one thing, I apologize for being treated the way that you, in my opinion, perception is reality. And if you or the woman that came perceived that they were not getting help, every employee, we're all public servants, right? Mm-hmm. So that should not have happened. So I'm considering this a huge training opportunity for myself and our city secretary to inform our employees of how to handle these things. And so I think it's a good thing that this happened.
And you're right. This is I really do agree with you. This is a training experience that needs to get handled before it gets worse.
Yes, and she is new to the role, fairly new to the role, and so, like I said, we're gonna now. She is a police department employee, like over there. Like I'm the director of municipal court, but she's not a municipal court employee. She's a police department employee. We do have a records person at PD, just as, for your information, a public information officer for PD. But to make things easier, if you need anything, Amy is the one that is the head of our, public information request situation. But
I always recommend.
The city does not believe that. I mean, you're absolutely right in your email that the law does not require it to be a certain form. It doesn't require it to be in a certain format. It just requires it to be in writing. That's it. Doesn't matter how we receive it. We will take it in person, email, written on someone's hand. I mean, as long as it's in writing, we're going to process it.
The law says as long as it's in writing. I don't care if it's in a Crayola, red number 3 Crayola on a sticky note.
A sticky note, one of those cheap legal pads that we had in elementary school, whatever it is. So I think you're right when you say that it's a training issue, and it is going to be addressed. And I've already actually spoken to the Chief Thomas and the police department about it.
Well, see, and like I would have really addressed this with the chief had she transferred me and gotten him on the phone. But it was like, what are they going to do? Oh, okay.
I will tell you this: if you have any issues with our city whatsoever, you can always reach out to me. I've been here 3.5 years, and I have a lot of experience as an attorney, and I want everyone to have a positive experience when they come into contact with our employees, no matter what department. I do. And I think our city manager does as well. He's actually out this week. Yeah,
that's what she was telling me. My whole thing is I just want everybody to follow the rules. That's it. I have to follow them. Yeah. I expect you to follow them. And if I don't follow them, I expect you to call me out too.
Yes, sir. Sir. I mean, we are public servants, and I believe that. Yeah,
I'm not a public servant, but if I still do wrong, I expect to be called out for it.
And honestly, over there, they mostly just give out police reports. That's kind of what they do all day for the most part.
Really? Oh, so you're saying that I need to bog them down with records requests and PD and see if they'll fulfill them in time?
Well, I tell you what, we will treat you like we treat every citizen, or should treat every citizen, with respect and comply and process whatever it is you want us to process. Well, and like I said, I'm talking to you on the phone like I would talk to this lady if she had called me. And I would apologize to her if she obviously felt like she was discounted and dismissed.
Well, actually, this.
How about anyone should feel?
Well, how about this? Would you like to make this right for her? I mean, I still got to put out about the employee. I mean, I got to report on the employee. I'm going to report that I obviously had a discussion, and you said it was a perfect opportunity to address the training, and I agree with that. I'm absolutely 100% on board. But I think it would mean a lot to this lady if you reached out to her and at least let her know that obviously you spoke with me. It's kind of a training situation that we're going to get erected, and whatever type damage control that's what I call it. I'm sorry, that's what I call it. But any type of damage control you want to do as far as in apologizing or, letting her know that this is an isolated incident and this shouldn't happen. And, if you want to come back in, you can see, one of us or city secretary, or you can do it by email. She's first of all, let me tell you, I had to walk her through sending me a video. It took me an hour and a half to just basically get her to upload it to Google Drive, step by step on her phone. She's not tech savvy whatsoever. So when she said that she was she doesn't know how to work the portal, doesn't want to work the portal, she wants to do it in person, or she can at least send an email because she can at least text, she wasn't lying. So these are the kind of issues I have.
How would you like to proceed? Would you like to give me her contact info, or have her just call you here directly?
Check your inbox.
Okay.
I've already emailed you her name and her phone number.
Okay.
But I think if you can get the PD Records people a little bit trained and attitude check, and you call Miss Joyce.
Yeah.
But Miss Kristi, look, I appreciate. Yeah, I was getting ready to say the same thing. I appreciate the call. I appreciate you taking my call and having this conversation so we can get those things fixed and getting this handled for Miss Joyce, and I really appreciate it.
Sure, I will call her when you and I hang up.
All right. Thank you, Miss Kristi. I appreciate your time.
All right, sir. You take care.
Have a good New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Watchdogs. And yeah, this pretty much sums it up. It took multiple phone calls, 2 different records requests, a records supervisor, a city attorney, and me email blasting the entire city of Lufkin like a FOIA flashbang, just to get Miss Joyce some basic help with a simple public records request. Let that sink in. Not a lawsuit, not a fishing expedition, not classified nuclear launch codes. A simple records request. And remember, this wasn't just about Joyce. This was a test of whether the city of Lufkin could handle the most basic civic responsibility, taking a records request, staying compliant, helping a citizen instead of roadblocking them. Now here's the part you don't see very often. The city attorney actually apologized. I'll say it again for the folks in the back. An apology for a mistake. That goes a long way. And she committed to speaking with department heads and making sure staff are properly trained so this nonsense doesn't keep happening. That's accountability, or at least a solid start of it. And just so you know how serious this was, I dropped what I was doing. I was already editing other videos, already working other records requests, already knee-deep in government nonsense, and I paused everything to handle this immediately. Because if they'll do this to Joyce today, they'll do it to you tomorrow, because they did to me. Now, if you want to address your own grievances with the City of Lufkin, all the contact information is in the description below. Use it politely, firmly, and with receipts. Before we go, smash that like button, drop a comment, share this everywhere, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and if you want to support the channel, you can. You can drop a donation, grab some merch, or become a channel member. And always remember, sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I'll see you in the next video.
Freedom of Information Act. FOIA. BZWATCHDOG News Network. BZWATCHDOG.